Hello, patron. Welcome to my video going over some extra stuff inside of Syntorial. We're going to be doing the On Your Own 4 challenge, which will probably involve doubling and transposing. Pretty much what that means is you have a basic oscillator sound. Right now we've gotten through saw, square, and narrower versions of that, pulse waves. So there's a lot of different waveforms. You have your filters to play with. You have your amp, envelope, attack, and release, which you know about by now. Also the volume control. But what happens if you want it to sound a little taller? You know, if you listen to orchestras or even contemporary music, the sound is usually all the way from the sub bass to the highest frequency ranges. And you might have heard of something like layering. And this is fundamental layering inside of a synth. Yeah, you could use two synths, whatever, do it how you want. But why not take advantage of how the synth you're using was designed and turn on two oscillators, separate them by a fifth or an octave. That way, it's almost like someone's doubling you at all times and usually in key. So I know deadmau5 uses this technique a lot, and I'm sure a lot of other guys. So let's see what Joe has to say about it. I don't know what he has to say. Actually, I have to do another quiz, so I guess patrons this week will get an extra bonus on the quiz. Apparently I haven't passed it. I thought I already did this, but yeah, that's doubled and transposed. It's a single oscillator. Single oscillator. Almost sure of it. You could almost hear the harmonics. I think it's single. That's definitely a fifth. That sounds very much like Ghost and stuff, doesn't it? And I'm gonna think saw. Guys, I'm not making it today. Those sound really similar, don't they? Yeah, they're pretty similar. Maybe it's a square wave. Okay. They sound so similar, man. My confidence is gone. I think it's a fifth. The sound you hear is doubled and transposed and a lowered filter cutoff. What's the value of oscillator 2 seminub? I think it's an octave and a fifth. I think that's 2 octaves. I think that's just a regular fifth. Retry. I guess you can hear that it has an extra layer on it. What was this supposed to be? Thin? Thin pulse? They sound so similar, man. Medium pulse? Saw. Whatever. Oh man, I can't believe I got that. Four stars. That's so sad. So what he wants us to do is go back to last week's challenge and add a higher oscillator to it. So that means, remember this, guys, this shouldn't be too hard. Let's play it back and see what we have. I think we should start with the lead. So here's our patch. We have to turn on another oscillator. We can already hear that kind of smearing effect, which will happen sometimes when you turn on another oscillator. Unless you set something with the voicing where it re-triggers the waveform, but regardless, we're gonna put it up, let's say an octave. It sounds very subtle because our filter cutoff is down. Let's open that up a little bit. Hear how that brings the whole sound much more forward? So let's toggle it on and off. I think that's pretty good. Let's turn it down just a touch, and then let's do the bass. So what do you think we could do? Let's listen to what that sounds like with the big speakers. How's our bass doing? Sounds pretty good, but what happens if we add a sub oscillator? Well, in fact, we already have one set up here. Okay, we have this one already set up. Let's hear what it sounds like. Just a little bit, add a little bit underneath, and that fattens up the low end a lot. Just a little. I don't want to do too much, but yeah, that definitely fattens up the bass. And let's see what we can do with the pads. So I know he wants us to transpose the octave, the oscillator, not just double it. But I was wondering what happens if I use a different waveform, because we have saw right now. What if I add a square in? Let's try a fifth first with a square and hear how that sounds. I don't like that at all. Let's try an octave. It helps keep pace with the lead. Now remember, we can adjust the balance. We don't only have the option of turning oscillator 2 down, we can also turn down oscillator 1. It's kind of cool. Maybe we already have some reverb on the pad. I wonder what happens if we put a little effect on it. Maybe some dimension expander. Just a little, huh? But this wasn't about effects. So, yeah, you hear how that goes? I wonder if, yeah, you know, I could probably duplicate this, and then I wonder what would happen if I can just play them back to back. Sorry, I've been using Reaper for like a while now, and I completely forgot how to key command everything. Like here it's option, but in Reaper it's command drag, I think. Regardless, let's I don't know if I can recolor all these at once. Yeah. All right. So what I want to do is open up the bass and then toggle the automation for this amp off. There we go. Or, yeah, well, that's the volume. That's good enough. So that's that. And then for the pad here, well, let's do the lead since we started with that one. And then what we added was this second oscillator, which we're using a saw also, but that's okay. Do we like the square? It's actually kind of cool. Definitely gives much more of a character. So let's drop the amp on that also. This is the lead here. Okay, that's shift drag in Ableton will give you this nice quantized automation envelope. I know that they've just enabled automation snapping or something with 10, Ableton Live 10, but I don't have that. So with the pad, what did we add? We added the square. Yeah, the amp is all the way up, so let's turn the amp down for that. Shift drag here. And then we want to turn the amp for oscillator 1 up, because that's where it was. Okay, see right here? So now what we can do is loop it, and then this half is going to be without the extra oscillators, and this one will be with the extra oscillators. So again, the bass has a sub oscillator, the lead has a higher square layer, and so does the pad, but the pad we also turned down the original layer. So let's give that a listen. Now we notice that the lead is a lot quieter here. So for example, if we automated the volume to where it was, which was like minus 4 dB or something, it was pretty loud. Oops. Let's I almost think it was louder than that, but so here's before. I mean, I don't know about you, but to me that sounds a lot more professional. Adding that sub oscillator will give me a lot more options when it comes time to mix. Also, that low, deep square wave gives a lot of grit. It almost sounds like the sub is distorted. So that's another side benefit. Okay, we'll get into sub oscillators another time. But yeah, this was pretty short. Pretty much we took it from how it sounded here, which doesn't sound bad for the start of a track. But with this, now our lead is so much bigger, it has more character because there's 2 different waveforms. Our bass, although I didn't add a ton of weight, has more, it's more crunchy, gritty, and we could always bump that up if we want to. You know, we don't have a kick drum or anything right now, so also the pad, I feel really complements the lead also. Because, you know, if you make the lead too big, the bass too big, leave the pad how it was, well, it's not going to have the same kind of character. See, the pad still has, it's still in its place, but there's just a little bit more interest there. another thing you can do with these techniques is start your track off with less height in your sounds, and then add that in later. That's a great way to evolve your sounds without changing your parts. Just add a layer or take a layer out, however you want to do it. Okay. A lot of electronic music, what I'm starting to notice is you take a loop. It almost goes back to like records or whatever. You're just looping a part, and rather than introducing new rhythmic patterns, you just mute maybe the kick drum, or drop the beat out while the MC hits his punchline or whatever. But you don't need to stretch too far. You just keep it right there in your little loop and do as much with the variation as you can. So this is one more tool that you have. Remember, you can adjust the relative volumes of your oscillators like we did inside of the pad. So we got our two automated parameters right here, which are the amp. We can watch that actually. There you go. So yeah, a good way to vary your sounds. Thank you for being a patron. It means a lot. It enables me to stay here and do computer music for fun. And yeah, hopefully you're getting a lot out of it. Hopefully your synth skills are growing as quickly as you'd hoped. Feel free to share this with your friends. I don't try to make the Patreon videos too advertising-ish. So yeah, hopefully you enjoy that. Spend some time in your synth, whether it's Prime or whatever, and enjoy synthesis. Peace.